Hello, everyone. What's up? Kino here, and I am back with a whole new reaction series. I just watched the first episode of the new HBO show, The Penguin. Now, I already know what some of you are gonna say, but Kino, you hate comic book, stuff. You hate superhero shows, and movies and stuff like that. And yeah, true. To the most part, that is true. But um, I decided to watch this one because I actually really liked the Batman movie that came out. It was actually the first episode of the No One's a Critic podcast that I do. We reviewed that movie, so if you want to see my thoughts on that film, you can go check out that podcast episode. I'll link it in the description. But as a fan of that movie, I thought it was cool. I like Batman stuff in general. And I used to be a fan of some of the Batman cartoons and stuff back in the day. But the main reason why I chose to watch this is obviously like there is a very clear Sopranos inspiration for this show. It's not subtle at all. Even in the marketing, like you'll see stuff like on HBO today. For promoting the show, they had the bosses of Max because it's HBO Max. And it was like The Sopranos. They had Boardwalk Empire. I think they had Succession. So they're very, very clearly playing off The Sopranos, and there's a ton of details that are obviously like, okay, look, they're inspired by The Sopranos. And you know what? A Batman themed Sopranos esque show, that actually sounds pretty cool. So I'm gonna check it out, and I just watched the first episode. And I gotta say, I was pretty impressed. I had to remind myself at times this isn't The Sopranos. One, because like there's so many details that I'm like, oh yeah, that feels like Sopranos-y. But I had to remind myself when they start getting into like the whole action of the show. I'm like, this is going a little far for what a Sopranos episode would do. But this is obviously a comic book adaptation. There's going to be a lot of action, so it's fine. I just yeah, I just noticed that about the show. But let's get into it. So, uh, the premise of the show is it deals with the Penguin, very famous comic book character. He was in the Batman movie. He's like this like smaller gangster. He's not one of the main guys, and even in this show, he works for the big gangsters. But he's like a lower level guy. In the comic books, again, he's usually like a British like aristocrat type character. But this one they reimagined him as like a Tony Soprano. He wears the leather jackets and stuff. The reason he's called the Penguin is because he's got a limp. He's got like some kind of deformed foot. And he's got scars all over his face. But they're going more like New Jersey mafioso rather than like it's not like the Danny DeVito Penguin in the Batman movies. It's like more lower stakes, or lower concept, not really high concept. Which I know from some of like the Batman games and stuff, they've made him more of like a gangster rather than like a supervillain type character. So that's all fine and good. But he, with the death of Carmine Falcone that was in the Batman movie, there's a power vacuum in Gotham, and he's trying to fill it. He kills. I'm going to spoil what happens in the episode, just FYI. But he kills the Carmine Falcone's son, Alberto, and disposes of him. But that draws the attention of Carmine's daughter, Sophia, who just got out of Arkham. I don't. This is all from I think The Long Halloween, which I think I saw that one a long time ago, but I don't really remember all the plot points. And again, it doesn't seem like they're doing like a one-to-one thing. It's not like an adaptation of The Long Halloween, but um, she's kind of insane. She was in Arkham. I think she was like some kind of super villain or something. But they're playing that she was like an insane person. So she's suspicious of him. I thought it was a little. I was like, oh my god, he got caught in the first episode. Like I thought, like wouldn't you want to build this over a couple episodes and then let it finally collapse? But it turns out he had a plan. He's pitting the Falcone family against the Maroni family. Again, to Gotham City crime families, like the mafia of Gotham, both from the comic books and stuff like that. So yeah, it's an interesting little plot in this episode. The one thing I didn't like was I thought his sidekick Victor. Um, I get the idea of wanting him to have a little sidekick so he can kind of talk to someone and like explain what's going on, and having like a younger person that the young kids can kind of feel like, oh, he's like us, he's a Zoomer like us. I found it a little bit forced. I was like, man, he's like immediately telling this kid all this extremely, confidential information. Like, again, maybe I'm thinking about it from the wrong lens. I'm thinking about it from like the Sopranos lens, where I'm like, he could testify against you, right? But again, it's a comic book adaptation. Maybe he's not really worried about the court so much, because the criminals rule Gotham. The justice can be bought or something like that. So I'm trying to put the realism angle out of my mind, even though, again, the show wants me to think that I'm watching The Sopranos at times. I had to remind myself that yes, this is a comic book adaptation, so it's fine. That's the one part I found really forced. I do understand. I think there's some kind of sympathy that the Penguin feels towards this kid, because the kid's got like a stutter, and the Penguin obviously has his disability. So I think there's some kind of shared commonality there that made him want to bring this kid on. Plus, he needed some help. But I'm like, the Penguin's at the position of like a capo or something. You would think he'd have like some of his guys, like, guys who came up with him, like Tony has like Christopher and Paulie and stuff like that. You wouldn't think he would need this random street kid. But again, I understand what they're trying to do, and it's fine. It's not that bad. The like I said, there's a lot of Sopranos details in this. The mother obviously is meant to be like Livia. She even lives in like a little like brownstone house, like Livia did on in Down Neck and stuff like that. So, and they seem to have a positive relationship, but the mom seems like she's got some issues. Like, she's taking some pills. She's a little abusive to him. I don't know if they're gonna go like the Livia route, where she's like an incredibly toxic, evil person, or maybe she's just a little bit like, tough love type character. But obviously reminds me of Livia. Tony's relationship with his mother. There's a lot more. The smoking of cigars and stuff like that. Again, some of this stuff might not be directly like Sopranos related. Again, the smoking cigars, I've seen Penguin smoke cigars in some of the adaptations, so it might just be like, no, we're not copying Sopranos. But I mean, it's so on the nose that you're like, okay, I get it. But overall, I thought it was a really good episode. I mean, I'm into this. Like, I'm gonna check it out. I like this low stakes type of thing. I don't like the whole, guys in costumes flying around and doing stuff like Avengers or whatever. But like, the Sopranos playing out in the streets of Gotham, that actually sounds pretty cool. So I'm definitely going to be checking these out as they come out. I'll be posting my reactions here. So for all you guys who love cape shit, here's your moment to shine. So but that's it for now. Thank you guys for listening to this, and stay tuned for the next reaction coming next week. Talk to you then.